This is NDTV. And you're watching Ndtv-Hindu.
Welcome to the Late Night News. I'm Evelyn Matthew. Here are the stories that made headlines today. The ball is now in the government's court. The advisory board recommends life convict Nalini's release, but not everyone agrees.
And if he's released prematurely, she will lead a peaceful life and it will not be harmful to any person.
Furthermore, she has already got one mercy, namely from death sentence to life sentence. She cannot go on getting mercy.
Law of the land will take its own course.
Lawyers to boycott courts tomorrow. The court accepts the CBI's charge sheet against them in the High Court violence case.
Only to attract the higher authorities and only to attract the other governmental agencies, we are announcing this.
He is biased and one-sided. Therefore, we strongly oppose and we are going for abstaining the court tomorrow.
Students of blacklisted universities go for the management's jugular. Protest gets louder.
Our future is secure or not? That's we want. Okay, we want justice for this. We want justice!
Nokia suspension of 63 employees signals an agitation by its workers. And India trounced the Bangla boys to retain its numero uno test spot. Sachin is the man of the match. Will Nalini Sriharan finally walk free? There's fresh hope for this life convict in the Rajiv Gandhi assassination case. Sources say the recently constituted Prison Advisory Board, which met on Wednesday in Vellore, has recommended her release from the Vellore jail. This is after a direction from the Madras High Court to hear her premature release petition afresh. Nalini had filed a writ petition in 2008 seeking a direction to the government to reconstitute the board. The 43-year-old prisoner who has a child has now completed 19 years in jail. Her earlier death sentence was commuted to life imprisonment after Sonia Gandhi recommended her clemency. In 2008, Priyanka Gandhi had a secret meeting with Nalini in the Vellore prison. Earlier, we were in conversation with the Janata Party President Subramanian Swamy, who was here in our studio, and Nalini's lawyer, S. Doraiswamy, who joined us on the phone line about this issue.
Well, when Rajiv Gandhi was assassinated, along with him 18 policemen were assassinated. They had children, small children. We have to think of them too. Now Nalini's child is no more a child. She's a fully grown adult living in London and perhaps in employment. So that's not an argument. Furthermore, if you commit murder or you conspire to commit murder, and that too against Mr. Rajiv Gandhi, for which she had no personal reasons whatsoever. She did it on behalf of an anti-Indian terrorist organization. She deserves the fullest punishment, and the Supreme Court gave her a capital punishment, and then when she appealed for reconsideration, they again rejected it. So the Supreme Court twice has held that she should get the capital punishment. Then by an irregularity, an unconstitutionality, the governor has commuted a sentence that I'm not on just now. But she has, having got one mercy petition allowed, she cannot go on asking for more and more mercy. Well, there's no question of 19 years. You have taken away the life of Rajiv Gandhi. This is something which the widow and the children should have been in the forefront of. But I am here in the forefront of it only because this is a crime against the nation. And that's why I'm taking it up.
Now that the LTTE has been wiped out, what threat will Nalini be able to pose to national security?
The question of Nalini being a threat, she was all the time anyway one of the ground level workers for the LTTE. The fact of the matter is that she fully participated. And the Supreme Court judgment clarifies that she said she knew in the morning when she accompanied that human bomber that yes, they were going to assassinate her. She didn't express any remorse in the Supreme Court. And the court noticed that she fully participated, knowing fully well. And they said that although we know that she is a woman with a child, nevertheless, after reviewing the whole matter, we have come to the conclusion that if there is anybody who needs to get a capital punishment, it is her. And that's why they gave her capital punishment, not once, but twice. And as far as the 20-year rule is concerned, this is being demolished now by the Supreme Court judgment, the Swami Shraddhanand case. And where they have said, no, life imprisonment, unless it's specifically built into the sentence, is for life. You have to spend the rest of your life in it. In the case of Godse, which has been quoted, he was never convicted for murder in the sense that he was given capital punishment and then given a reprieve. Here, the reprieve has already been given. No further reprieve is possible under the law, and this is a matter which has to be settled by the court. It's pending in the court. My petition is there in the court, and that has to be heard before the government can take any decision.
So, Dr. Swami, why do you believe that the constitution of the new advisory board is unconstitutional? Then?
I don't believe in the new advisory board is unconstitutional. I'm not saying that. I'm saying as far as Nalini is concerned, prison advisory board has no authority. Whether it is properly constituted, improperly constituted, the question doesn't arise. She is a person who comes under a different consideration altogether, because she cannot avail of section 433 of the CRPC, because she has already got one reprieve from the president. Now she cannot get more. That's a legal point, and which even when the court dismissed the previous advisory committee, they however said that Nalini has committed a heinous crime and we cannot take a lenient view. But the government is relying on the advisory committee, and this advisory committee has not been properly constituted. And I think there was collusion there, which I had brought out in the court.
Before we let you go, Dr. Swami, you've met the governor this morning, also made a mention in the High Court. Yes. What's your strategy now?
There is no strategy. I have a petition pending. The court has to hear it, and the court has agreed that I have to make an application for early hearing, and they will hear it. I spoke to the governor and told him that your original decision was wrong. You should have sent it back to the president. And before you make put your signature on any document from the government, you will have to give me an opportunity to be heard by you. And he agreed. He said you will be heard. And he wanted a letter from me. I have sent him that letter.
Janata Party President Dr. Subramanian Swamy there speaking to us. In fact, the man in whose hands the decision lies, Chief Minister Karunanidhi, seems to have an open mind. Here's an excerpt of an exclusive interview to the executive editor of Ndtv-Hindu, Sanjay Pinto, in May last year.
Nalini Sriharan வந்து ராஜீவ் காந்தி கொலை வழக்குல வந்து ரிலீஸ்க்காக ஹை கோர்ட்ல வந்து மனு போட்டிருக்காங்க. DMK கவர்ன் பண்ணது கம்பேஷனேட் கிரவுண்ட்ஸ்ல வந்து நளினி வந்து ரிலீஸ் பண்ணுவீங்களா? நளினி
நளினி பா ராஜீவ்
அது பண்ண முடியாது. நம்ம வந்து அது வந்து ஸ்டேட் கவர்மெண்ட்டுக்கு அந்த அதிகாரம் இல்லை. ஸ்டேட் கவர்மெண்ட் அந்த கிரவுண்டில் பண்ண முடியாது.
இன் பிரின்சிபல் வந்து அவங்க ரிலீஸ் செய்யணும்னு நீங்கள் நினைக்கிறீங்களா? இன் பிரின்சிபல் வந்து நளினி வந்து ரிலீஸ் பண்ணலாம்னு நினைக்கிறீங்களா?
நான் வந்து நளினியிடம் சோனியா காந்தி அவர்களே இறக்கம் காட்டும் பொழுது நான் காட்டாமல் இருக்க முடியுமா?
When Mrs. Sonia herself has been very compassionate to her, why wouldn't I be?
You would have no objection to her being released, or at least on compassionate grounds. You would consider it.
No objection.
No objection at all.
Well, we asked you, the viewer, earlier in the day what you thought about Nalini's release, and we got some encouraging responses. Here are the two that we've picked. Moving to another story that's making the headlines, students at the Meenakshi Deemed University in Mangarda held a protest today after the college was blacklisted by the Tandon Committee. The students are angry at the uncertainty about their examinations, and they are seeking an explanation from the authorities. Under the Tandon Committee's recommendations, 15 colleges in Tamil Nadu face the possibility of losing their deemed university status, which sparked violence in some of those colleges this week. The Metropolitan Magistrates Court in Egmore has accepted the CBI's charge sheet, which said 31 lawyers were involved in the violence unleashed at the Madras High Court last February. This means the lawyers will now face trial. They have been charged with acts of violence and destruction of public property. Lawyers in Chennai fiercely opposed the charge sheet and said the CBI's investigation of violence was biased. Angry lawyers in Chennai who fiercely opposed the CBI's charge sheet in the Madras High Court violence say they will boycott courts in the city tomorrow. The lawyers want the court to return the charge sheet, which listed 31 lawyers as being responsible for the violence.
Lawyers of the Madras High Court gathered at the Egmore court, which heard the CBI's charge sheet. When the magistrate did not reach a decision at the hearing, the lawyers announced they will boycott courts in Chennai on Friday.
We are condemning the CBI attitude and the not proper investigation. The CBI, without completing the investigation, hurriedly filed the final report. That act we are condemning, and this token is only to inform the CBI to conduct proper investigation.
The lawyers insist the CBI is trying every trick in the book to frame innocent members of the legal community.
We are mentioned before this court, and many things has been clumsy petition, the loopholes and critical in detail. Everything has been done by the CBI. Therefore, the entire charge sheet is biased and one-sided. Therefore, we strongly oppose, and we are going for abstaining the court tomorrow.
The day-long boycott by lawyers on Friday is a climb down from their threat to start an indefinite strike. Last year, the Chief Justice of the Madras High Court, Gokhale, sharply criticized the lawyers as being unprofessional after they boycotted courts for a month. This time, the lawyers are waging a battle against the CBI, and the Madras High Court, which receives over 300 bail pleas on an average every day and has over 4.5 lakh cases pending, cannot afford yet another strike by the advocates. With Sai Manish in Chennai, Bertila, Ndtv-Hindu.
Still ahead on the late night news, if you're a pet lover, you have every reason to be happy. We'll tell you why up on the other side.